Today we have Scott on the show, a blue belt that has been training for 4 years, no gi only. Scott enters right into my reverse de la Riva. I take my reverse de la Riva hook off by simply unhooking my instep from his thigh. I know that without grips on my upper body, he's likely to attack my lower body, and I'm ready for it. He backsteps to try to enter into a leg lock, but as he does, I hook onto his shin using the instep of my leg that he's trying to attack. This is a tool that you can use to hide your legs from attack from many positions. I wasn't able to use this for a sweep as Scott won the hip height battle to win the scramble and he remains on top. As Scott transitions to standing with both feet, this gives me the space to insert a second butterfly hook for X guard. And now I reverse shrimp to bring my hips closer to his to fully transition to X guard. I take an overhook on his leg as it was the safer option to maintain control at the time, but I'd prefer an underhook on his leg. I find my opportunity to transition to an underhook as Scott has his weight on both his hands and his feet. With his weight distributed this way, it was the perfect time for me to transition as the risk of him passing as I transitioned was pretty low, as the easiest time to escape or attack is during transitions. Now that I have X guard, I'm thinking what would be a cool technique for me to hit for YouTube. I haven't hit a saddle entry from reverse X guard yet on YouTube, so that's the plan. I switched the positioning of my feet, so my right leg is now the top leg, and my left leg is the bottom leg. Using the instep of my left leg, I pull Scott's left leg closer to me to bring his leg between mine for the saddle. Ideally, I'd want to bring Scott to his left, but he's falling to his right and I can't stop it. I risk hurting my neck, but I turn my head just in time and avoid potential injury. Immediately I go to work, catching his toes in my armpit to get a good bite on the heel, and gable grip my hands together to secure the inside heel hook. This wasn't the deepest bite on the heel that I could have taken, as I could have had Scott's heel more turned upwards, but we're just training and taking a deeper bite could have put more pressure than I would have liked to put on him, even with finishing nice and slow. We start again and Scott could do a better job keeping my feet off of him. I cover this in my Jiu-Jitsu theory course. It's an extremely important concept. Feet are grips, just like hands. My feet are basically free to move as they wish, as Scott's grips aren't addressing them at all. I take a bit of a loose reverse de la Riva and start inverting for another saddle entry. Scott finally decides to start prioritizing the feet, and it looks like he's trying to attack an Estima lock. But watch as soon as he lets go of my foot, it gives me the mobility that I need to now shoot that leg between his legs and wrap my other leg around his to enter into the saddle. He still has base, meaning that he's still on his feet, his layer 1 of defense. I need to bring him to the mat, and I do so by positioning myself into a ball so I can load his weight onto my hips as I push him with my arm across his body. I take a bite on his heel as he falls and get another inside heel hook. Make sure that if you train with heel hooks, you always do so safely. With every submission and technique, safety is priority for yourself and your partner. But with knees, you have to be extra careful. And now a quick word from the sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. If you've been watching my YouTube videos for a while, then you'll probably know that sometimes I struggle with mental health. Depression and anxiety sometimes find their way into my life. They interfere with my work, leisure, but also the time I spend training, which can feel additionally worse for me as I don't want to give anything but my best in all aspects of my life. And that's why I understand that having someone to talk to who's completely unbiased, like a therapist, can help you more than you might imagine. So trust me when I say that therapy can give you the tools to approach life in a substantially different way. No matter if you're having a tough time or if you have clinical mental health issues such as depression or anxiety. Which is exactly why I'm excited that BetterHelp is the sponsor of this week's video. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online and remote. And by filling out a few questions, they can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more accessible and more affordable. This is an important mission because finding a therapist in your area can be really hard, especially when you're limited on options. In other words, it's easy to sign up on the platform and get matched with a therapist. There's a link in my description. It's betterhelp.com/JTJJ. Clicking that link helps support this channel, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp so you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. So if you feel like you could benefit from talking to someone, getting feedback, advice, and help for anything, literally anything you feel like it's affecting you and your happiness and moving forward in your life, then click that link in the description now or visit betterhelp.com/JTJJ. Thank you again, BetterHelp, for supporting this channel. Again, he's back in my reverse Del Hiva as he attempts to pass, with likely the knee slide as plan A, but I don't give him the grips that he needs to make that happen. I protect my head and keep my elbow tight to prevent the underhook. Again, I know what his options are based off the grips that he has or doesn't have, and he backsteps again. And again, I hook my instep onto his shin to keep my legs safe. This time, I win the hip height battle and come up on top for the sweep. As I come up on top, I use my head to frame against him. This keeps him and his hips away from me. With his hips so far away, he won't be able to generate very much power with his legs or his arms, and I'm safe to rest and take my time. The goal now is to simply get past his knees. Layer 2 of defense. Check out my Jiu-Jitsu theory course to learn more about layers of defense. I initially try to backstep, but Scott's instep stays hooked onto me to prevent it. To complete the pass, I pass to the other side, and look how tight I keep my hips to Scott's right leg. I'm driving into it with my legs and left hand to ensure that my leg stays positioned in front of Scott's knee. I get the pass, but with the body lock, I only have control of Scott's hips and need to control his upper body for more control. But Scott is framing well with his T-Rex arms. As I try to grab his head, he blocks that attempt. I still don't have control of his torso that I need with my arms, so I transition to knee on belly to control his torso with my shin. I try to quickly mount him, but I should have secured upper body control first with my arms, as Scott frames with his arms to create distance between us. He now starts to transition to single leg X, but what do? I control his feet. I keep his feet off me, and that's how I'm able to avoid danger. I think about the toe hold, but instead I loop my outside leg between his for 50-50. I hide my right heel from his attack by figure fouring my legs like a triangle. Scott is doing a great job grip fighting, and I could have done a better job stopping him from turning away. Scott should have kept turning to get to his knees and build a base. It would be so much easier for him to clear my knee line by pushing on my butt with his left foot, but with his left leg in front of my knee rather than behind my butt, it's not possible. He does a great job framing with his right arm, using a long frame to try to clear the knee line, but angles beat frames and I just move my left leg to the side to rid myself of his frame, and now get a bite on the heel for another inside heel hook. Scott again should prioritize controlling my feet, and now he shoots in for an over-under pass. I know what he needs to get tight to my hips, so I curl myself into a ball and I use my arms to block off access to my hips. This is what an over-under pass looks like, tight to the hips. Scott does end up getting tight to my hips, but not for the over-under pass, instead with half guard, with a reverse underhook with his left arm. This position for me as the bottom player is called octopus guard. The battle is now if he can pin me down to the mat by jacking my arm up with his weight deep on my armpit, or if I can prevent that and take a reverse underhook for myself and get onto my elbow. I'm having a hard time getting onto my elbow, and I lose my opportunity to attack from octopus guard, but now I'm just in regular half guard and have an underhook. Though my underhook isn't very useful since it's not deep, with my shoulder underneath his armpit. Scott's framing with his head to prevent me from getting closer for a deeper underhook, but I pull out one of the classic techniques on this channel, the John Wayne sweep. I grab onto his overhook so that he can't post with it, and shoot my hips underneath his to load his weight onto mine to make him feel weightless. Scott rubs my head for good luck, and to make sure I've been following a solid hair care routine, both shampooing and conditioning every day. I try to find the path of least resistance for a bit and end up in his butterfly guard, but he's pinned on his back where the butterfly guard is weak. I try to backstep with both feet to pass, but I didn't commit to it enough. This is one of Nikki's favorite passes, and she's much better at it than I am, but I figured that I'd try. I try to pass for a bit more, but I leave my leg vulnerable and need to disengage to stay safe, but I re-enter with a side smash. Watch how I smash his legs down using my body weight. People often mistakenly try to use their hands to do this, but your arms are weak, you have to use the weight of your body. There's lots of ways to finish the pass from the side smash, and to do so I enter into dough mount. The key to doe mount is to turn your knee towards the feet. This will act as a wedge to keep your opponent from turning into a ball to off balance you and attack that leg. I lose position as again, I'm unable to transition to upper body grips with my arms, but I do hit one more saddle entry to finish the round and finish with another inside heel hook. I often don't do many leg locks on the channel, but I am proficient in leg locks, so if you want to see more leg locks then just let me know and I'll be happy to attack them more. Alright, thank you for sticking around till the end of the video. If you're still here, please leave a comment or a fist bump and we'll see you guys next time.